Welcome to Nikki's van build, as she'll be taking this XBT L2H2 van and converting it into a mobile home that we're planning to rent out. Now I've just hijacked her van build to draw your attention to a common problem in these Citroen Relay style vans, and that is of the corrosion you find on the interior of your sills and especially around those rear wheel arches. Many people assume it's water ingression coming from the plastic clips that hold the trim pieces on, but oddly enough, these don't leak actually that much. These are the problem. Pneumatic pumps. They're designed to pump water, and what they do is they pump water into here, which is a completely unsealed seam that runs all the way on the inside of that lip, joining the outer skin of the van to the inner wheel hatch. And because it's totally unsealed, salt water, mud, silt gets pumped into the inside of your vehicle, into those sills, and corrodes away. So let's see what we can do about it. The first thing we need to do is clean out the inside of those sills. There is some scaly areas, and I'm going to tackle that by knocking the scale off with a chisel and perhaps attacking it with a hammer and a screwdriver as well. What's left, we'll use a wire brush and clean as best as we can before we then hoover it all clean. What I'm then going to be using is this stuff. I've seen it on Facebook. It's supposed to be a rust encapsulating paint and converter. It comes from China. I've never used it before. Normally I would Lanagard the inside of the sills, but hey, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens, and if it fails we can always give it a coat of Lanagard on the top anyway. I think that's probably as much as we can clean out from the inside of that sill. It's going to be quite tricky to paint, and I think we'll probably do better for spraying it all with Lanagard. But I'll give the paint a go first. Now another area to concentrate on is completely around this wheel arch here, because this unfortunately is where the water is getting in from. So this wants a good clean around here as well, and we're going to literally smother all of this wheel arch in Lanagard. Look at that, you get a free little brush. And that is... I have no idea. I think that's some gloves. Okay, so now we're going to use some of that paint on the areas we can see. Nikki and I have already done the opposite side because it was a lot easier to access, and it's proven to be quite effective. So let's give this side a go as well. So the inside of our sills have now been descaled, they've been wire brushed, hoovered out, painted with some rust encapsulating paint, which appears to be working, but unfortunately it can't get to those hard to reach areas. So what we're going to finish off with now is some Lanagard. I've used this in a couple of 3 builds and I absolutely love the stuff. It's brilliant. The applicators are great. You get through a load of applicators because Lanagard is made from lanolin, which comes from sheep's wool, and unfortunately in the mix there's always some little fibres which manage to block the apparatus all the time, so you spend all your time cleaning it out. Apart from that, it's great stuff. So we're going to use the deluxe applicator, which has been bunged up, and for those hard to reach areas we're going to be using this tube, which again is bunged up, and I'm going to have to give it a clean. Anyway, I'll go and clean that and then we'll get spraying. Smells like sheep. That, as usual, has covered really well, but now there's one area where we really need to concentrate on, and that is this seam that runs in the entirety of the wheel arch. I would recommend blatting that area with Lanagard or wax or something similar, because that's the area that's very difficult to reach with paint, and that's the area where the salt water comes in out. when I did for my van, I was quite surprised just how much Lanagard from spraying on the inside of that wheel arch came out from the outside. So let's take a look on this van, shall we? And there it is, dripping from the wheel arch onto the tyre. Now you imagine it in a reverse direction. You imagine water coming from this tyre and spraying up on the inside of that wheel arch and absolutely coating the interior of your sills in salt water from winter use. And that is the problem with these vehicles, and that is the reason why I will not vapor barrier these vehicles. They are not sealed. So now we've cleaned out and treated the sills, it's time to turn our attention to the area that's creating the problem, and that is the join between this inner wheel arch and this outer sill, which runs for the entirety of this lip. I'm going to try and show you that, but it's dark inside there and you might not see, so let me grab the camera and let's go take a look. I don't know whether... Let's have a look now, it's very, very dark. Well, there you go. So this, I don't know whether you can see, that is the seam that runs all the way around this wheel arch. And what we're going to do is treat that with a bit of seam sealant. So this is what we're going to be using to seal the seam. It's called brushable seam sealer. I'm going to use a little tiny brush. It's going to be sacrificial. This stuff is gooey and gobby, and once it's been used we're going to have to just throw that away, so don't use an expensive brush. If you haven't got anything like brushable seam sealer, you can equally use quite effectively any type of polyurethane sealant that you may have used to fit your skylights and your windows, etc. So yeah, use that. Now there's no room for you guys and my brush and me underneath this wheel arch, so I'm going to give everything a good clean with some panel white, and I'll show you it all when we're finished. Now I'm really hoping now, guys, that you can see what a good job that brushable seam sealer has done around that lip. So let's take you out before we get covered in sticky stuff. There we go. I'm just going to give that 24 hours to cure, and then tomorrow I'm going to put a load of underbody shuts in this wheel arch just to finish it off, because we've got a little bit of overspray on there from when we've done our sides blue, and that will finish the job nicely. And that should be that. So I'll catch you tomorrow when we'll give it a good coating of shuts. Finished off with a good coat of underbody shuts, we've now done as much as we can to ensure that that seam doesn't leak. There is no guarantees though, just as there's no guarantees you might get a small amount of water ingression from the clips that hold the trim on as well. And because there's no guarantees, that's why I would never ever vapor barrier a van, and instead choose a venting insulation system. Anyway, I hope this little vlog helps all of those that have made inquiries about the problems with the silt and the muck and the silt and the water you find in those sills. Anyway, thanks for watching.